Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Two-time Tony nominee Alex Brightman stars in Spam-A-Lot at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. tomorrow through May 21st. He joined me to discuss the show's hilarious Monty Python bits, as well as memories of filling the shoes of Jack Black and Michael Keaton in School of Rock and Beetlejuice.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alex Brightman, and I play Lancelot and a lot of other characters in Spam-A-Lot.
Yes, it's Monty Python's hilarious Spam-A-Lot, one of my favorite stage experiences I've ever had, and you guys are probably going to agree. It's going to be at the Kennedy Center now through...
I believe it's the 21st, but if I'm wrong and you come the 22nd and we're not there, my apologies.
All right. Well, either way, we can say that it kicks off May 12th. So get your tickets now, everybody, this Friday. It was ironic when I saw you were coming, because I'm literally interviewing Beetlejuice coming to National Theater in like an hour from now, and that's where we saw you in the original Beetlejuice at National Theater a couple years ago. So
yeah.
Before we dive into Spam-A-Lot, real quick, memories of that, since that was a big DC experience for you. How did Beetlejuice go? What was it like being National Theater, and now you get to come back?
Being at the National and being in DC for Beetlejuice was a billion things, all good. I had the best time in DC, and I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you in DC. I talk about it still, about how great it was to be here with the audiences in DC. I think they're really cool and supportive, but also discerning, which I think is important for a show to get honest feedback. And boy, DC has some great restaurants and things to do. And so that was really fun for the cast to go and bond. I love being back. I was thrilled at the idea of this show in particular coming to the Kennedy Center because it's silly. And I think that the world and also the nation, and I think everybody could use a laugh right now. And I think that this show is some of the funniest stuff, and you won't learn a thing. And if you do, that's great, but it's very optional. This is just let's take you away from your life for a little bit and have a laugh.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad to have you back. I mean, Beetlejuice with you and Sophia and Caruso, who blew up. I mean, School for Good and Evil. It was the first show that my wife and I ever, that I took my wife to, and so it worked. So we got married afterward.
Well, that was the main goal. The secondary goal was to do a good show. The first one was to get a lot of people married.
Exactly. Well, it worked out. So good job on you and Lydia Dietz there. All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're not here to talk Beetlejuice, except to say that you have a Tony nomination for it, as well as a second one previously for School of Rock on Broadway. So folks, when you're coming to see Alex Brightman, you're getting the best of the best. So anyway, all right, so let's talk Spam-A-Lot. Remind them the general premise, how it's sort of like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but also weaving in some songs from Life of Brian. It's basically like Monty Python Greatest Hits all wedged into the King Arthur stuff.
Right. They really did an amazing job at making it, giving you everything that you're expecting, which is great. I think that would only be fair to the Monty Python superfans. So there's everything that you would expect to be in there is there in full form. And I think that we have an entire cast full of other Tony nominees and winners, by the way, which is really fun. But it also has some like very meta, like theater reference, like it's very self-referential. It's very aware that it's a show. So it's we also have some new stuff in there because the original production was 17 years ago. So things have changed. And so there is things that we reference about the world around us. So it's fun. And I think it's going to be different every night. We get a little chance to play around. So for all of you Monty Python fans out there that may not be fans of theater, this is absolutely for you. And then if you're a theater fan, this is 1,000% for you.
I love it. Well, you mentioned there's some other Tony nominated and winning stars in the cast. So rattle off, some of the famous faces that we're going to see, and which parts they're going to play. Because I'm looking at this list and I'm like, this is an all-star lineup here.
It's really wild. We have Tony nominee Rob McClure, who was in Chaplin and Mrs. Doubtfire. We have Tony winner James Iglehart, who was in Aladdin and Memphis and many other things. We have the multi-nominated Leslie Kritzer, who is just lightning on stage. If you don't want to come for any of the rest of us, please come for Leslie Kritzer. We have Nick Walker, who just left Hamilton as Aaron Burr. We have a bazillion others. We have the wonderful and fabulous and famous Michael Urie from the current show Shrinking, and obviously from a billion other things.
Yep.
So this really truly is, and other people are calling it, it's like comedy lightning in a bottle. And I'm not trying to pat my own back on that. I'm really surrounded by an ensemble of dangerously funny people.
Who does Michael Urie play? Because he stopped by our station a couple years ago. Before, I mean, he had done, I guess, what, Ugly Betty and some stuff like that. But this was before he like super blew up with Shrinking, and what was the rom Single All the Way? Is that what it was called on Netflix? I think. But anyway, yeah.
Sure.
Who does Michael Urie play? I love that guy.
Michael Urie plays Sir Robin. So we are sort of the sort of a duo in the show. We kind of go off to join King Arthur's court together, and he plays a bit of a scaredy cat, whereas I to sort of like counter my, as they say, homicidally brave Sir Lancelot. And so it's a cool pairing, and he has a lot of very, very funny bits in the show, very timid bits, but then he gets a pretty big showstopper near the end of the show, which I think you will all enjoy, and I will not give you one spoiler for it.
Awesome. Well, I know you don't want to spoil that, but if there is a way to tease some of the musical numbers, that's not a spoiler because
Sure.
it's been touring for years now. What are some of the musical numbers that we're gonna hear?
You will hear a musical rendition of the moment "I'm Not Dead Yet" from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where you get sort of the "Bring Out Your Dead" big cart of dead people, and we have one of them who is not yet dead.
I feel
But
happy.
yeah, I feel happy. I'm not dead yet, right? And then we have a great rendition of "Always Look on the Bright Side of Life." Which I think people will be expecting, and that'll be really, really fun.
Now wait, you can't say that title without us whistling. Ready? We have to. You have to. Now that's one of the ones from Life of Brian. So
That's right.
when they're on the crosses, so that's kind of cool that we weave it in here.
I think so too. And then I think one of the bigger numbers to come for is sort of it's called Camelot. It's when all the knights when they're all together, they get to go to Camelot, and Camelot is sort of posed as this Las Vegas type place, and it's this humongous. It's got to be close to 7 or 8 minutes long of just this big Vegas showstopper right in the beginning of the show too. So we get a couple of 11 o'clock numbers. And it's really fun. I don't do a lot of singing in the show, which is very rare in the last 2 shows. I get to sort of have these beautiful SNL bits with all the different characters that I play. And I play the knight who says "knee." It's very fun. And if you want to see, if you ever wonder what it was like to see two-time Tony nominee Alex Brightman on stilts, this is your chance.
The knights who say "knee."
Yes.
Are you also the Black Knight, or who's the Black Knight? It's just a flesh wound.
The Black Knight is Nick Walker, and it's really incredible stagecraft about how they're going to do that, because you see in the movie that's very easy to do editing and cutting away and doing special effects like that, but to do it live is a feat. And I've seen bits and pieces of it in the room, and so I'm very excited we start tech rehearsals today. And so I'm about to head off there in a second to go and actually get in costume for the first time and mics. So we'll get to see all of these little gags in person.
Awesome.
And I play Tim the Enchanter as well, the one that sort of introduces the gang to the vicious killer rabbit.
With the holy hand grenade of Antioch.
Wow, are you a huge Monty Python fan?
Oh my! If you can't tell, I mean, it's one of the funniest movies ever. We had John Cleese on here. If anyone look up John Cleese episode podcast in the archives.
Wow, I'm gonna look that up.
So hilarious.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I rewatched it before this, and am hitting myself for not have watched it until now for such a long time. It's really worth a rewatch if you grew up with it, because it means it's much funnier now once you're a little older, I think.
Oh yeah. When you're younger, there's stuff you used to quote. She turned me into a newt, and then they look at him, and I got better.
I got better.
But when you get older, the thing that jumped out to me was just the littlest moment that I was like peeing myself laughing. They're like storming the castle, and they're like fighting all these guys with swords going up the steps. And he pauses for a second and turns and sees this like flower vase in the window and chops that
yeah,
too,
right.
and then keeps going. It's like that flower was going to be a threat or something. Anyway, I just for some reason. Anyway, but I guess the point is, bring it back around. Is all of your favorite lines plus more will be in this musical version, right?
Oh yeah, big time.
All right, so visually, what do we see? Is it all of all the medieval outfits? Do we get the galloping coconuts? That's my personal favorite bit.
You get it. Everything you've mentioned is in this show, and for the Kennedy Center, this is their biggest version of the Broadway Center Stage series. So it's full big sets, projections. The big, the Trojan Rabbit is 3 times my height. We have a castle. We have huge costumes, um, a lot of them from bigger productions that have happened in the past. So these are incredible, heavy armored costumes. Uh, it's very, very visually spectacular, and I'm very proud of us for putting it up in what is 2 weeks. I don't know if people know that we learned an entire show in 2 weeks and are then putting it up 2 days of tech, and then we open. So it's going to be a fascinating wild ride. This is the first time it's been in a larger production since Broadway, which was 17 years ago.
Holy crap.
It's time. I mean, it's really truly time for this revival. And I think that we could, again, like I said earlier, we really could use some silliness. So yeah, this is the first like big production since Broadway, I think. I might be wrong, but I think it is.
I saw it at the National Theater where you guys did Beetlejuice. I saw it there. I don't know. This has probably been like 15 years ago or something.
Right. So that makes perfect sense. And I think that was probably the touring company, which was remarkable as well. And so we're just trying to live up to what was. I think we're doing a great job, but I think also with time, like the show changes, like, it becomes contemporary in the time it is. So I think that it's very cool and malleable and flexible and the latitude we've been given for this show too. We've been able to stretch out our comedy muscles in a big way.
Awesome. So just to clarify, will this tour after this, or is this just like we're all getting all these great actors together for this one-time thing at the Kennedy Center?
I personally think, and I don't really know, I know that it probably won't tour right away, if at all. But I mean, it's such a great group of people in such a great version of this show that I want to put it out there. In fact, I'm going to try and manifest it to get it back to Broadway as a revival. I think it's time. Let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like it. Manifest it. Manifest away.
Right.
You mentioned Broadway a couple of times. Do you know the history of the show in terms? I mean, it was like 2005 is when it was up for all those Tonys. It won Best Musical and I think Director. I guess was it really the great Mike Nichols, the late
It
great?
was indeed. It was indeed the great Mike Nichols.
Wow, that's awesome. And wait, Hank Azaria and Tim Curry and the rest. Pretty incredible were that original cast.
Yeah, very, very large shoes that we're trying to fill. So it's a gauntlet, no pun intended.
Well, you've already filled, we mentioned at the top, but you've already filled the large shoes of Jack Black for School of Rock and the large shoes of Michael Keaton for Beetlejuice. So if anyone can do it, it's Alex Brightman.
That's very sweet of you.
Well, you shared your memories of Beetlejuice at the top. Did you hear that there's a Beetlejuice 2 movie that they're working? I think Michael Keaton and Tim Burton, they're all getting back together. Did you hear that?
Yeah, talk about manifesting. I'm trying my darndest to get a cameo in that. I feel like I've earned one.
You've earned it. Exactly. Yeah. It's showtime.
Yeah, that's right.
No one said it's showtime better than you, except for maybe Michael Keaton.
Let's see if I still have it. It's showtime.
There you go. You did it. Every time I hear that, I think of Roy Scheider and all that jazz. It's showtime, folks.
Oh wow, that's what a reference.
The pill popping, the intro there. But I think you did a good Michael Keaton there.
Thank you.
Or wait, no, Michael Keaton did a good you.
Oh wow, that's incredibly sweet. And please edit that out because I don't want him being mad at me.
I said it, not you. So
okay, good. That's what
you're fine. He'll come after
your
me.
Words. Your words.
He'll knock on my door and be like, "I'm Batman," and punch me. Well, we've Beetlejuiced plenty, but let's School of Rock for 1 second. What memories of doing that? Because that was your first Tony nomination. So what was it like putting that thing up? Because that movie, Richard Linklater, it's one of the all-time great like children coming of age things. If you ask me, underrated in that regard. But what was it like doing it on stage?
I completely agree. It was terrifying at first to try and step into the shoes of that because it's so beloved and it's a beloved performance. But once I sort of figured out my own version of it, I had incredible time doing it. And the memories that I have, the big memory I have is when Jack Black came to the show. I mean, it was 7 months into our run. We weren't sure if he was coming, and he came and enjoyed, and he brought his son, and he also brought Paul Rudd, and they came backstage and they hung out. And it was just one of those really pinch me moments where it was like, you guys should be on stage, not in the audience. Like I should be in the audience watching you. So it was really fascinating. And it was my very first life-changing, truly starring role in anything. So it was really, really, really an exciting time. And the memories I have are, burned into my brain.
Oh, absolutely. And if you have 1 second before we run, where I want to know more about you. Like before we got to School of Rock, like where was your quote School of Rock, School of Theater Arts? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the Bay Area of California, more specifically Saratoga, California. I started doing theater before I could have memories. I mean, I performed on my fireplace to Billy Ocean and Gloria Estefan before somebody decided to, get me out of the house and put it somewhere where it probably belongs. So I did community theater growing up there. I went to NYU for 2 years. I started working pretty quickly after that, which was really fortunate. Beetlejuice was my fifth, sixth Broadway show. I was in Wicked, I was in Matilda and Big Fish and a lot of other shows outside of Broadway. I've been extremely fortunate over the last 15 years to basically never stop working. And people can catch me now, actually, on the Blacklist on NBC. I'm all throughout this last final season playing a forensic expert. So you can catch me and James Spader and all the rest of the fun people on the Blacklist sort of solving crimes and catching bad guys.
Is it fun transitioning into TV? I mean, we have Michael Urie, but now you're getting to stretch out, and you have the Acclaim on Broadway. Is that opening more doors in Hollywood?
Oh, big time. It's not only opening doors, sort of in the acting realm, but in the writing realm. I was been fortunate enough to get people to look my way as far as the writing I'm doing. So I've sold a couple of shows. I'm currently working on a cartoon with Warner Brothers. With my writing partner, Nick Walker, who is in Spamalot, which is very fortunate because we could be here in DC writing and brainstorming on our show. So hopefully, there's, pending this writer's strike, obviously, we will be able to get this cartoon in the eyes of people. And it's slightly musical. It is about Bostonians in the world of biohazard cleanup.
I love it.
And it's slightly musical. And so we will be putting our musical theater stamp on it, I think, for sure. And here's hoping it's happens sooner than later. But yeah, all of this is due to things like School of Rock and Beetlejuice. And I'm just trying to hold on to the momentum and use it.
That's great. Is it anime or like the traditional, like rounded, more round, like Disney looking?
It's going to be more traditional Family Guy meets, sort of the Archer kind of style, a little more like contemporary, the stuff you'd see on Hulu and more like NBC, Fox kind of stuff.
I love it. I love it. Well, everyone stay tuned for that. But first, come check out Spamalot at the Kennedy Center. It's going to be May 12th through the 21st. So not that long. So you better get your tickets now, everybody, or you'll miss it.
Don't come the 22nd, like I said. Please come just the 21st is when we're done. Come the 22nd and we will not be here.
You'll be sitting there alone by yourself, being
you're waiting a long time.
All right. Well, we can talk all day, but thanks so much for joining us. It was an honor.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.